My reading notes for The Fifth Agreement, a practical guide to self-mastery, a Toltec wisdom book. The power of belief. There was a time in your life when you completely owned the power of your belief. But when you were educated to be a part of humanity, the power of your belief went into all those symbols that you learned, and at a certain point the symbols gained power over you. In truth, the power of your belief went into everything that you know, and since then everything that you know has ruled your life. Obviously, when we are little children, we are overcome by the power of everyone else's beliefs. The symbols are a wonderful invention, but we are introduced to the symbols with the opinions and beliefs already there. We ingest every opinion without questioning if it's truth or not. And the problem is that by the time we master a language with all the opinions that we hear growing up, the symbols already have the power of our belief. This isn't good or bad or right or wrong. It's just the way it is, and it happens to all of us. If you're asking yourself why you're so miserable at times, it's because you're telling yourself a story that isn't true, but you believe it. The truth is that your dream has become distorted, but that's not good or bad or right or wrong. The world of the symbols is extremely powerful because we make every symbol powerful with that force that comes from deep inside us, that force that we call life, faith, or intent. We don't even realize that it's happening, but together all of the symbols form a whole structure made by agreements, and we call it a belief system. From a single letter to a word, from a single story to an entire philosophy, everything we agree to believe goes into that structure. The belief system gives form and structure to our virtual reality, and with every agreement we make, the structure grows stronger and gains more power until it becomes nearly as rigid as a brick building. If we imagine every symbol, every concept, every agreement as a brick, then our faith is the mortar that holds the bricks together. As we continue to learn throughout our lives, we mix the symbols in many directions, and the concepts interact with themselves to create more complex concepts. The abstract mind becomes organized in a more complicated way, and the structure keeps growing and growing, until we have a totality of everything that we know. This structure is what the Toltec call the human form. The human form is not the form of the physical body, it's the form that our mind takes. It's the structure of our beliefs about ourselves, about everything that helps us make sense of our dream. The human form gives us our identity, but it's not the same as the frame of the dream. The frame of the dream is the material world as it is, which is truth. The human form is the belief system with all the elements of judgment. Everything in that belief system is our personal truth, and we judge everything according to those beliefs, even if those beliefs go against our own inner nature. In the process of domestication, the belief system becomes the book of law that rules our lives. When we follow the rules according to our book of law, we reward ourselves. When we don't follow the rules, we punish ourselves. The belief system becomes the big judge in our mind, and also the greatest victim because first it judges us, then it punishes us. The big judge is made by symbols, and it works with symbols to judge everything we perceive, including the symbols. The victim is the part of us that receives the judgment and suffers the punishment. And when we interact with the outside dream, we judge and punish everyone and everything else according to our personal book of law. The big judge is doing a perfect job, of course, because we agree with all those laws. The problem is that the belief system comes to life within us, and uses our knowledge against us. It uses everything we know, all of our rules about how we have to live our lives, to punish the victim, which is the human. It uses our language to create the self-judgment, the self-rejection, the guilt, the shame. It verbally abuses us and makes us miserable by creating our personal demons and our personal dream of hell. There are so many symbols that we can use to say the same thing. Slave. It takes power over the real us, the human life, and it isn't even real. The human body, which is beautiful and perfect, becomes the victim of all the judgment and punishment. It becomes just a vehicle where the mind acts and projects itself through the body. We've been living this way for so long that we don't even notice that we live in this structure. And even though the mind isn't real, it's virtual, it's also total power because it's also created by life. Without us, these ideas could not exist. Without us, the whole structure would collapse. As children, we invest our faith in almost everything that we learn, and this is how we lose power over our own lives. By the time we grow up, our faith is already invested in so many lies that we hardly have any power left to create the dream that we want to create. If we take the power out of every symbol, the symbols become just symbols. Then they will obey the Creator, which means the real us, and they will serve their real purpose, to be a tool that we can use to communicate. Once we can see that we are the one who creates the structure of our beliefs, this helps us to recover faith in ourselves. When we have faith in ourselves instead of the belief system, we have no doubt where that power comes from, and we start to dismantle the structure. Once the structure of our belief system is no longer there, we become very flexible. We can create anything we want to create. We can do anything we want to do. We can invest our faith in anything we want to believe. It's our choice. If we no longer believe in all that we know that makes us suffer, then just like magic, our suffering disappears.